我嘛guru benza dara maka manju shiri wage na suma de shaza na dara shiri wa shiri wa se de o ma guru benza da padara ga manju shiri wage na suma de jana shaza dara sa shiri wa sa wo guru beta dara padara ga manju wage na ma teja shazanandara samanda shiri bada wo guru beta padara ga manju shiri wage na sumade jana shazanandara samanda shiri bada sawa sede wo
Now that my friend Jana is here, I don't know what to say. It's really good to have you here.
Was tuning in on Zoom and you knew what to say, so I think.
Thank you. So I understand that there are some questions from our online group. So maybe Carlos, maybe could you
there's no questions right now.
From yesterday?
From yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. If you have them ready.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what did we talk about this afternoon? Something about joy. Yes. Joy. This is and kindness. Yes. Yes, the qualities of kindness. Yes. Generating joy. Generating joy is so vital to our practice. It gives life to our practice, to our commitments, and to our relations. So always recognize, always see the qualities that you share with others, right? Only by seeing that can we develop something like an everlasting joy, right? A joy that can give life to our commitments, to our path, to our awakening, right? So this is so important, right? Very important. Sometimes I ask, if this is so important, then why are there so many of us who still don't find joy? Well, that is because we do not see or we do not value our qualities enough. So to give value to the qualities, again, is very important, right? To give value to oneself is so important before giving value to others. We always have to start from experience, you know. We always have to start with that. We cannot start with a theory, but we have to start with our experiences and use that as the base, right? I think this is how it works. Otherwise, if we approach from a theory, then we will come to dead ends, right? There will be there wouldn't be joy without seeing our experiences, without recognizing our experiences. To see our qualities, we have to recognize what we are experiencing, to recognize what we are aware of. We are always aware of, but sometimes we just don't have awareness, right? So being aware of what we are being aware of is very helpful in seeing these qualities. So therefore, mindfulness and simply being aware is so helpful in dealing with our day-to-day life experiences. We have to use everything that we have, and awareness is in a way all we have, you know, awareness. So simply be aware, simply being aware. It's that simple, right? It's not some set of complex ideas, notions, concepts, nothing like that. It's really coming down to our basic awareness. It is about using our gifts. It is about using our minds. It is about using our experiences. As we talked about yesterday, something about these add-ons. So not getting lost with all these extras, right? But really coming down to the base, really grounding oneself, yeah? Finding the ground, right? Grounding yourself to yourself, grounding oneself to one's nature. And that is what it is all about, I think. Okay, so maybe, yes, the questions, please,
Yes,
from yesterday,
from yesterday's,
from
yeah.
Zoom.
These first group of questions seem to be about the guru or guru devotion. First question is, if we have committed to an unethical guru by lack of mindfulness of foolishness, can we renounce that guru without heavy karmic results?
So did I understood something like, if I find, let us say, like the wrong guru, right? And then later, like if I now see that this person is not the right guru, so if I abandon this guru-disciple relationship, would I be subjected to like karmic implications, something like that? Oh.
Else?
Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Simply by abandoning this relationship after realizing that this person is unethical, I don't think there will be any negative karmic implications, right? Is that right? So, no, it would be okay, completely okay. And on the contrary, one should step out of this relationship, you know, one should step out of this relationship once it becomes clear that this so-called spiritual guide is misguided, right? Is unethical. So when that is clear, of course, you can come out of that, step out of, you can stop that relationship without any doubts, you know, without any doubts. Yes.
And the next question is, if you're far away from the person we consider our guru, how can we analyze him or her if we're not every day by his or her side?
Ideally, it would be nice to get close to this person. If it is possible, I think it would be a good idea to meet the person, you know, in person, right? I think that would be good. That would be good. To having never, for me, it is a strange idea to start a guru student, guru disciple relationship over Zoom. You know, for me, this idea is a is a bit far-fetched. Far-fetched? Yes, maybe because I was born in the wrong decade. But I think really it would be, of course, you can participate in online teachings, for example. The premise is, of course, that you have never met this person before. It is completely okay, to participate in online programs like that. But before establishing a guru-disciple relationship, I think it would be really a good thing to meet the person. Yeah, to meet the person if the situation allows. Now we have to imagine all sorts of scenarios, right? Now, if that is not possible at all, then what, right? Then I think the next best thing to that would be at least to, if there's a possibility of meeting the prospective guru over Zoom meeting, like one-to-one meeting, right? I think that would be the next best option. Yeah. For me, the guru-disciple relationship is a personal relationship. Yeah. It is between two persons and two persons alone. Yeah. So therefore, one needs to, at least from the way I see it, establish this interpersonal relationship. Yeah. In real life, right? Offline. Yes. Yes. I think like this. This is my opinion. Yes. And next.
When you have several gurus, what are the criteria for the main root guru? And do they have to be in a human body form currently?
Root guru and gurus. Somehow there is this distinction made. A root guru, could you please read the question again?
Sure. When you have several gurus, what are the criteria for the main root guru? And do they have to be in a human body form currently?
I've never come across a text that states the criteria for the root guru, because in those texts, like we talked about yesterday, Dhargye, Sutra Alamkara, and of course the Vinaya, and also I think from the highest yoga tantric texts, they usually state something like guru. That is the term used. There is no talk of root guru in those texts, as far as I know. But somehow we also have that label, right? Root guru. So root guru here, I think, is the guru that truly inspires you, right? That you hold as the closest to your heart. the guru that you hold at your heart at all times. I think this is the root guru. Yes. So first part of the question was criteria of the root guru, and then was there something?
Do they have to be in a human body form?
Do they have to be in a human body form? I don't think so. By virtue of what I said earlier. Yes.
The next question is, one way of observing the guru seems to be as a conduit of Buddha to come through while still manifesting human qualities. Another way seems to view even the human qualities as Buddha manifestation. What advice for using these two ways of seeing the guru do you have?
I didn't understand. First of all, what is this word conduit? It's like a way, or it's like a channel? Kutsap. Oh, kutsap. Like a representation? Channel. I. Oh, okay. Oh, through which you receive the blessings. Okay, in that sense. Okay. Okay. So could you please?
Sure.
Yeah.
So one way of observing the guru seems to be as a conduit of Buddha to come through while still manifesting human qualities.
Okay, this is the first part.
Yeah, and then another way seems to view even the human qualities as Buddha manifestation. And so what
It can be
advice?
both.
Sorry?
It can be both.
Oh.
Yes, I think it is both. Both. Both? Because they don't contradict it. They're not contradicting, right? So it can be both. The guru is a conduit of the Buddha through which we receive the blessings, and also the guru is in the form of human, and also is a Buddha in the form of human. So it's both. Yes. At this point, I would like to ask, do you think that I understood the question? Do you think what I said more or less addressed the question? Because I need your help on this.
What's the human quality?
What?
What's the human quality?
I think the question was saying more like as a human, as a human, you know, like this, in this form, I think. Yeah. Yes.
Concern might also be. What do you?
Maybe the mic, please.
Yeah.
Yes, for our online.
The concern might also be if you see flaws or very human issues with this person who's your guru, what do you do about that? Should I see that as that's Buddha, so I shouldn't be critical of it, or how do I deal with that?
This is exactly why we go back to that ethical aspect, you know. I think that is so important. Of course, we have the stories of Telopa, Naropa, and Milarepa, and Marpa, and the trials, you know, of Naropa. So those are very unique examples, right? And in this day and age, I think those situations are, I could say, they won't repeat. They won't repeat, right? We won't have such examples. We don't have such examples anymore, right? So this is why we have to really go with the criteria set out in like for example the Vinaya and also in Sutra Alamkara, which at least to our conventional way of thinking, it is more suitable, right? At our level of how much we can take, right? Our capacity, then definitely those criteria are really the main ones to look for. And now if I sort of try to take something from the question, from how you explained, sometimes it is also, we see in our gurus how they behave. Sometimes they exhibit emotions or some kind of like wrathfulness or desires or something like that. And what do we do, right? For example, if my guru really seems to like good food, momos, you know, then I just take it so simple. It's like, this is really, in a way, an opportunity for me to establish a relationship with my guru, is it not? Now that he seems to enjoy momos, maybe I can invite him over and prepare momos, you know? And this is how I think all of us in this room have, in one way or another, have had a relationship with our gurus as a person. And this guru has likes and also dislikes, right? And in a way, that is like an opportunity for us as students to approach the guru on a personal level, as a person to person, right? And this is, I think, one of the things that we can cherish, you know, after many years. Imagine if this guru is the embodiment of the Buddha and especially equanimity, and never shows any emotions. Never shows any emotions. How do you approach the guru? What do you say to him? Dashideleg. And he doesn't respond. You know? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you're looking for in your guru? So one needs to ask this. And that is why, as long as this person really, when it comes to the really important things, everything is a check marked, yeah? And then on the other sides, seems to have some kind of attachment issues or a little anger issue here or there, that's okay, you know? I can deal with that, you know? So I think this is one approach, you know, one approach. So this is how I think we can, this is one way of approaching this, you know? And then really, some of these lamas, even though on On one side, they seem to display all of these human emotions that we also have. But then there's this whole other side to them. When they go in deep meditation, when they are completely disconnected from all these kind of emotions. And when you can see that, then you know that this is the unmistaken guru, right? You know that for sure. So you have to, you have to take that initiative to recognize those moments, right? And not let these other perceptions sort of cloud your awareness, right? So like that, I think. Thank you.
Next question is, in the Heart Sutra, it is said the bodhisattvas don't have fear. Could you explain about the fear?
Excuse me? What does
Sure, one more time. In the Heart Sutra, it is said that bodhisattvas don't have fear. Could you explain about the fear in this context? Is it any fear or fear of samsara, fear of uncertainty, or something else?
Fear is something like the other side of hope, right? Fear and hope. They are like two sides of the same thing. If one has hope, automatically one will also have fear. And the Bodhisattva who has realized emptiness has no hopes, right? And therefore no fear. I think this is why. Yes, yes. The question, what was the question again? Or was it? The Heart Sutra states so. So why is that? Was that the question?
If you can explain the fear,
okay.
What is it meant by this? The fears that bodhisattvas don't have fear. So what is meant by fear in that context?
What is meant by fear? Like, so fear is fear as in general. Yeah, like the general fear. Yes, so it's not like anything specific fear, but fear in general. Bodhisattvas don't have fear because they have no hopes, because they have realized emptiness. I don't know if this answers or addresses the question. The question wasn't about how does one define fear? That is not the question, right? I don't think that is the question. Okay. Then okay. Yeah. Okay, then please, next.
And then the last question is, who was Prince Siddhartha's physician or teacher or Buddha of his time before he became enlightened himself? You mentioned that Buddha didn't receive teachings from Buddha per se because he was soon to become a Buddha, or he was soon to become Shakyamuni Buddha.
This is a very complex issue. Because as you know, in a way, Prince Siddhartha, a historical person from one school of thought, was already a Buddha before many, many eons, and is now coming here. Something like it as an emanation, right? Now, if you think from historical point of view, I'm not very good with historical facts, then I believe that Prince Siddhartha had teachers like sages, right? Hermits. He must have had a few teachers, right? So from whom he learned meditation practices, etc., like that. But he was not completely satisfied with what with their instructions, right? So then, with his own analysis, his own way of thinking, then he came to this point, right? He came to his enlightenment of seeing the four truths, right? And this is how we explain from something like a Pali tradition, something like this. And then from the more Sanskrit-based Nalanda tradition, then there are different explanations, but they are all, for example, I think from the Paramitayana, then as mentioned before, Prince Siddhartha was already an enlightened being, but then came as an emanation, right? And then from something like the highest yoga tantra or tantric point of view, then he was not fully enlightened, but a bodhisattva on the 10th stage, something like that. And then in the deep samadhi, then he sort of transfers into this different dimension, and then from Buddha, I think maybe Vairochana, maybe something like this, then receives the empowerments, and then by this empowerment, then realizes full enlightenment, right? So there are different practice point of view explain his enlightenment, that enlightening process differently. This is one way of explanation. But to approach this about how Prince Siddhartha became enlightened, or how this person became enlightened, it is very clear by going into deep equipoise, by going into deep absorption on emptiness with compassion, right? This is the enlightening process. And enlightenment, I think, is understood like this, right? So this is.
Question just popped up.
Oh,
Sorry. About bodhisattvas not having hope. How can we associate this with the fact that they help beings to come out of samsara? Do they have no hope of bringing beings out of samsara?
they don't have hope. They simply act on their bodhicitta. Hope is a different thing. That is how I would like to differentiate. Yeah. Hope is, it's always like much conceptualization. There's much thought process going on. But when you're at this high level, I think everything is spontaneous. Yeah. It just naturally. And in the full enlightened state, the activities of the Buddha are non-dual in nature. Again, very important, right? That's a very important reminder. Not only is the omniscient mind, omniscient awareness non-dualistic, but also the activities of the enlightened beings are non-dualistic. Without any motivation, without any intention, without any hopes, without any fears. It's just spontaneous. Spontaneous. It's like I'm breathing, but that is not because I hope to breathe, right? Because that is my nature. And when the real nature becomes manifest, it automatically happens. Yeah. I don't know if this is starting to sound like some fantasy, but at least that's how I would like to think of that as. And now, I think we are good from our online group, right? So maybe now from us here, if you would like to share something.
There's one question here.
Please.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Sorry, I have to take the advantage while you're still here, you know. So, I was wondering if you could say a few words about the mental continuum of a Buddha and their emanations or emanation. Like, for example, Lama Tsongkhapa is said to be an emanation of Chenrezig, Manjushri, and Vajrapani. How is it possible that three mental continuums can be one emanation and vice versa? So they say a Buddha can emanate, you know, countless numbers of emanations. Say, how does that work with their mind stream or either mental continuum?
Because they're all one, right? Because these three Manjushri, Chenrezig, and Vajrapani, they are one. In the enlightened state, I think there's just one mind. Somehow, I feel like I'm just making affirmations. I'm just reaffirming what I said previously and what I said yesterday. Reaffirming. I don't know how this sounds, but here in the state of samsara, with our confusions, we all have individual minds. In the enlightened state, they are of one continuum, one omniscient mind. It's like we say, Geden Rinpoche is an emanation of Manjushri. And then the Sakyapas would say, that maybe Sakya Pandita is an emanation of Manjushri. So then Sakya Pandita and Geden Rinpoche, are they the same person? They are two different emanations, but of the same mind. We can go with that, right? They appear to us in different forms, but they have the same awareness. They have the same mind. They have the same omniscient mind. I'm sorry that I cannot elaborate further on that other than to just restate the same thing again and again and again. Because I think with this, if I elaborate further, then I feel like I'm getting further away from the point. Because with further explanations, then it's like elaboration of more conceptual thoughts, and more conceptual thoughts, and more conceptual thoughts, and then like pretty soon I'm lost in all these thoughts, you know, in this sea of or forest of thoughts, and then what happens there? What happens then, right? So I think I feel this is like the easy way out. Maybe like the easy way out. And I can always see that, you know, exit. Exit is always there. So it's like, as soon as that question comes up, I'm like, okay. Yes, exit. But really, this statement, this reality is beyond our conception. This is the truth. Emptiness is beyond conception. It's that no matter how much we try to come up with some reasonings, we have to leave it at that. At some point, we cannot really like get down to the root by explaining. That is simply not possible, right? It is impossible. So we have to somehow rely on some explanations and then go from there and then use that, hold on to that, and at the same time, let it go, right? So to know it, but then to let go of explanations, to let go of concepts, to let go of thoughts. And we can only do that by way of meditation. Without meditating, simply talking about emptiness and giving reasonings, logics for why all is empty that is very limited. It is very limited because of its conceptual nature, right? It is somehow what we call a paradox, but that's all we have. That's all the conceptual we have. We are left with this paradox. And now we have to go beyond this paradox, right? Or at least work on it, or at least, start the groundwork, lay the foundations of being in that state. To peel away the layers of conceptual thoughts, just to simply peel them off by way of integrating a yogic practice. This is the only way, I think. Even simply by meditating is not enough. Simply by meditating on emptiness and compassion, we won't be able to go beyond dualism, right? We have to peel away all these layers and get down to the bare mind, get down to the bare mind level, and then realize emptiness. No. Yes.
Rinpoche, earlier we were talking about the relationship between renunciation and compassion. And just to reiterate, I think I heard that you said renunciation is not wanting myself to suffer, and then compassion is not wanting others to suffer. And you said something, and I wrote it down: make the switch from I to others. Make the switch from I to others. And this made me think about exchanging self and others. Is that what we're talking about here? As a method to develop bodhicitta? Is that like step one?
Yes. You're right. This is the same. Exactly. I think, yes. Thank you. renunciation, compassion, wishing to be free of suffering and wishing others to be free of suffering, they are very close. I think if you have the wish to be free of suffering, then the wish for others to be of suffering is very near. Yeah. Just as if you wish to be happy, you can wish others to be happy, right? So that's why, as it states, without wishing for liberation, then there's no possibility to wish others to be liberated. You know, wishing others to be liberated. And same thing with refuge and bodhicitta. Same thing. The thing about emptiness, developing a theory of emptiness, this is, I think, not so challenging. We all have that, you know. Anybody can understand emptiness. Anybody can understand emptiness. To know emptiness, it takes more effort, not simply understanding emptiness. To know emptiness, I think Geshé Rinpoche, in one of his visions, then Manjushri, tells Geshé Rinpoche that in order to know emptiness, then there are three conditions, right? In order to know the middle way, there are three conditions. So the three conditions being to learn the scriptures, to understand the scriptures. That's one. And then to purify karma and to accumulate merit. This is the second. And then the third is to something like to see the guru and the deity as inseparable. And then with these three, then these three are like the conditions for knowing the middle way. So understanding, studying, this is of course very important. And we all have done that, you know. We all have done that. We all have studied many texts dealing with emptiness. The second part, Sosa Deep Jong, Soso Deep Jong, Soso Deep Jong, to accumulate merit and to purify obscurations. This is very important and something very practical. Accumulate merit, I think here means to engage in the 5 perfections, right? So generosity, then ethics, and patience, is it? Forbearance, different terms. And then joyful effort. And shamatha, single-pointed concentration. So this is accumulation of merit. On top of, for example, offering prostrations, making mandala offerings. So making mandala offerings, this is a part of generosity, right? Making mandala offerings is generosity, is a form of generosity, right? And making prostrations, I could say this is like joyful effort, making prostrations. To prostrate, the Tibetan word Shartse, Shartse. The meaning of this is something like to wish for the same qualities as the Buddha, as the object of prostration, right? Wishing for the same qualities as the object of prostration. To whom you are prostrating, the meaning of prostrate is to wish for those qualities. So it's inspiration in a way. It's joyful effort, right? And if you think about it, then even in, for example, a single action, for example, making prostration, then you can also include the 5 perfections, right? As you are making prostrations to offer your body, speech, and mind. Yeah, this is generosity. And to do that with compassion practice, integrating compassion practice, this is sila, right? Ethical conduct. And then as you prostrate, if distracting minds, distractive thoughts occur, then stopping them from arising or stopping them is a form of patience, yeah, forbearance. And then being joyful, prostrating joyfully, then you are integrating joyful effort. And as you make those prostrations, then as you, for example, recite like a confession Buddha recitation, so then to single-pointedly do not divert from that, but with a single-pointed concentration and reciting that and not diverting from that is a form of concentration. So you can integrate all 5 perfections, right, in the context of accumulating merit, and then obscuration of purifying obscuration. This is mainly the practice of emptiness, directing the mind towards emptiness. So this is that, and so this is how it is explained normally, but here again in the context of knowing emptiness, then purifying, as we talked about the 4 powers before. Here, oh, the power of applying the antidotes, right? So the power of applying the antidotes in that practice, then to direct your practice, to direct your accumulation of merit in whatever form they may be, prostrations, mandala offerings, recitations, etc., directing these accumulation of merit towards purifying the obscurations that obstruct oneself from knowing emptiness, right? So when you direct those accumulation of merit practice towards this specific purpose of overcoming, of purifying whatever it is that obstructs you from knowing emptiness. Yeah, so this is purification of obstruction. And then lastly, the third condition, the third factor for knowing emptiness, to see the Guru and Yidam, the deity, as inseparable, right? The Guru and Yidam as inseparable, and simply be convinced in that. And with that conviction, then you will know emptiness, right? With these three factors, there's no doubt that you won't know emptiness, right? It is not possible that you will not know emptiness if these three conditions are met. So, like this, like this. Before in Germany, in my programs, sometimes we would have like meditation session. I don't know. Shall we try that? Yes, because sometimes I feel that I'm talking too much, and we should also find, I think, some moments here and there to really reflect, right? And simply just rest the mind and let it sink in, right? So first, we will take a few moments off and simply reflect on the qualities, the positive attributes that we all share with all sentient beings, including the humans on this planet. And then see how we share all of these qualities and simply reflect on that. And also how our state our fortunate state, how that has come into existence by the kindness of others. Hmm. And now? Okay. So I think this is good for today. Oh, are there any questions from Zoom?
Yeah, in fact, there's two that just came out.
Oh, it just came out. Okay. Yes, yes,
Ready?
yes.
When I, a Westerner, define the word refuge, there is always a potential source of harm from which I imagine being sheltered. Can you please elaborate on the Tibetan conception of refuge in the Guru, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha? Is it suffering from which we seek refuge?
It is very important for me to understand where the person is coming from, right? Before I can try to address the question. Actually, refuge, as far as faith itself, trust itself is concerned, I think it is universal. There is no difference when a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Jew or a Christian or a Muslim or a Sikh, yeah, when they go for refuge, from the viewpoint of refuge itself or faith itself or trust itself, I think we are all touching the same emotion, the same mind, right? Now, that is not to say all are same. Of course not. There are minor differences. For example, how we go for refuge, why we go for refuge, what we take refuge in. There are differences there, right? But from this experience, I think it's more or less the same, because it's like compassion, when a non-Buddhist has this intense experience of compassion, and a Buddhist also has an intense experience of compassion, I think from the compassion standpoint, there is no difference, right? I don't think there's any difference there. Like the purpose, things like that, then there are some differences there. One way we as Buddhists take refuge is because of, I think, interdependence, dependent origination. This is one factor why we take refuge, I think. Because of that dependent origination nature, because of that nature, then it makes sense to take refuge, right? Then there, dependent origination, how things are interconnected, is, I think, it helps us connect to the Buddha mind, right? What use would there be to taking refuge if we do not feel connected to the Buddha, to the Dharma, or to the Sangha? So this dependent origination, this is really what can make at least our way of connecting to the Buddha special, right? So the Buddha is also dependent origination. I am also dependent origination. We are both equal that way. The Buddha is empty of inherent existence, and so am I. And this is, I think, what connects us to Buddha, right? The interdependentness, this dependent origination. And by virtue of that, emptiness of inherent existence, of any solidity, of any solidly existing attribute, of an independent attribute. And I think one question was, is it fear that we are turning away from? Was it fear? The last part of the question? Suffering.
Is it suffering
Uh-huh.
from which we seek refuge?
This can be understood on different levels. Yes, at first, I think from a very at a beginner level, of course, suffering is what we are trying to run away from. But then as we progress on the path, then I think somehow our way of taking refuge also changes, according to our mental state. I think this is important to keep in mind. So I cannot say this is the definition of taking refuge. There isn't just one way, but I think there are many ways of taking refuge, right? And yes, suffering is one of the things that from which we seek refuge, and definitely at the beginner's level. But as we move on and as we develop a more holistic view, then I think it is not just suffering, or should I say, the meaning of suffering changes, right? So the meaning of suffering need not always be just one, but it can change, according to in relation to where we are at, right? How we understand, how we see things, how we see ourselves. So that's dependent on, I think, so many factors. Again, we have to take into account this dependent origination, right? And it is not rigid. It is not rigid. So yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. So like that. Okay, so it is 8, and I think this is a good time. So then we will say that again, we will say the verse just before the Thanksgiving mandala. Shodan Kazina. Page 7. Okay. So it's that verse before the Thanksgiving mandala. Dhargye chinye sabe gyawan den tena jowa kuna kambe kebara jise losang drakpa tembe nyambo rendo seje sho
Do Namo Oi Shawai De Je Je Dong Para Do Be So Ye Why ye lava so ye tamba kuru la me da ne ya na ja be ba je da je ma da kon do sang bo de yang de de da ge je wa de da Zong Rinpoche Dhargye Jewe Zawa Dewe Sambo Jeje Rato Yesuma Jewe Jawa Tansi Mare Temba Lana Mebe Temba Tansi Tenda Lame Yewa Deyangan Doa Malu Shinye Tembe Joro Penze Deye Temba Sibe Yendo Lonje Namo Tembe Angate Jene Temba Yese Kobe Losa Yewa Tangye Ludan Soya Tang Zema Yeje Zamya Lewa Bajo Chenpa Cho Kawa Pane Nede Nyingbo Zeje Andoba Hap Shinge Bewara Joya Nambara Jebe Yeze Nawara Tanjo Senjo Baje Pana Yewa Nyamba Leba Evarasho Asimje Tangje Dena Dekyo Yendo Semba Kana Sujo Eda Kunje Galama Jojo Je Kare Ave Kunje